List your city and state in the chat and let us know where you're watching from. And please feel free to ask questions as we are live. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Evergreen of Oakland. I'm very excited to be here tonight with our live audience, and we have a very special guest with us this evening. Tonight's discussion will be a little different. We will be having a one-on-one conversation with our Evergreen for Justice ministry leader, Devani Watkins. Welcome to Talk Evergreen, Devani.
Thank you.
We here at Evergreen, we know you as Devani, member of the Young Adult Ministry, YAM,
Yep.
and also a part of the Praise Team ministry. But tonight, we want to know about the politically involved Devani, okay? So tell us a little bit about Evergreen for Justice.
So Evergreen for Justice came about probably a year ago now. Bishop sent me off to a social justice rooted in faith ministry training, and I went there and I listened and I was like, I've never heard about how to combat social justice with like a faith or like a religious aspect, and so I was really like enlightened, for lack of a better word, just about how to use those tools that I learned at that training in order to bring it back here, which is why I've been able to talk about elections and the different props that have been coming up. So it's just me, like I've always been interested in politics. Like my mom and like my aunts and uncles will always ask me like, hey, what am I supposed to vote on?
Right, okay.
So I would definitely have been interested probably since middle school when Trump first got elected into office. So I was like, this is definitely
Wow,
something.
you were in middle school when he first got elected?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So I definitely was able to, like, I wanted to be able to educate myself once I turned 18 on how to vote. So I was like, this is probably the best ways, like just to talk to my peers and to talk to older people who have voted before, so that way I can figure out how to format my political views and stuff like that. So that's how that came to be.
So, Devani, tell me, how do you not pressure or push your views on someone else? How do you not do that?
You don't do that by saying, well, you should do X, Y, Z, this is what I do. You definitely want to come with like an approach of, okay, so like, what have you heard? Is there anything like, what do you believe and stuff like that? Like, you don't want to come off very defensive or very aggressive towards the person. You definitely want to make sure that you're listening with an open ear and an open mind, so that way you could be able to understand how to have that open conversation about different viewpoints with different people, so that way you're not able to have like that constant clash that's always happening that we see. So definitely like coming off with more of like a peaceful approach.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And also, I do want to give this disclaimer that the political views that we're discussing this evening are not the views of Evergreen Missionary Baptist Church. Tonight is a discussion, and hopefully everyone will learn this evening about a little bit more about politics.
For sure.
All right, so we're going to get right into it, Devani. Tonight, again, this discussion is going to be a little different. It's going to be podcast style. You see, Devani and I were sitting right across from each other because I am a baby boomer. Devani is Gen Z.
Yeah.
So we have differences of opinion. Our understanding about politics, totally different. You have millenniums, their understanding of politics is totally different also. So we just tonight we want to talk about some of the differences. What do we agree on? Because we will not agree on the same things, and that's all right. And we want everyone to know that it's all right. It's all about being empowered with information.
Exactly.
And I'm so glad that you've taken over this ministry, because unfortunately a lot of people are not empowered with information via politics.
Exactly.
And that's something we're going to discuss tonight because a lot of people get their information from social media, or such and such said, or they said.
Exactly.
Who is they? And how do they know? So we're gonna talk about a lot of that tonight. So my first question, and again, Devani's gonna have questions for me. I'm gonna have questions for Devani, and we're just gonna talk this out. So Devani, how do you feel about political parties? We have Republicans, we have Democrats, and we have independents. Are Gen Zs loyal to any of them?
A lot of Gen Z are Democrats. You have like the very few that are Republican. But for me, what I say is that they're the lesser of two evils. No one really focuses on the independent party in my like generation group. But for me, like I identify as Democrat because it is, like I said, the lesser of two evils. Like there's nothing perfect about any of the political parties. So it's like definitely the Democrats align more with my views about just how they deal with immigration, how they deal with social justice, how they deal with just like economic policies, just different things like that. But like I said earlier, I don't push my views on anybody else. I want to make sure that I'm not coming at them with like a aggressive approach. I want to listen and make sure that like, okay, I'm able to have this difference of opinion with you. So that way I don't want to like offend anybody with anything I say or anything like that, which is why I'm grateful for Bishop allowing me to have these like spaces on Sunday mornings to talk about politics in a way that it helps me practice how to talk to people in the real world, because it's not me like pushing anything on anyone. So definitely Gen Z, mainly Democrats.
Okay, all right. And I think with baby boomers, I think that we are pretty much the same as Gen Z in terms of political parties. Most baby boomers are Democrats, but I also think it's important that we do have baby boomers and also Gen Z that are in the other parties, independent and Republicans.
For sure.
Because a lot of people don't understand is that you have to have representation in all of the parties. Otherwise, how can you get anything done? Especially with everything that we're going through right now. We need to have representation in all of the parties so we can get them to understand the different policies.
It keeps it more of a democracy rather than like a fascist regime, which is like what a lot of people are.
And those are two important words. Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure people hear about that all the time. Yes, especially with our current administration. Let's see. Do you feel like the Democrats, do they voice your concerns? Gen Z concerns. And a lot of times I'll say your, and I'm not speaking about Devani's own personal views, Gen Z. So do you feel like the Democrats are addressing your concerns?
I feel like to an extent, they're doing enough because politics is definitely a job for them. So it's not like they're really concerned about what's affecting them, even though they are civilians in this country too. So they're not really thinking about how the laws that they're lobbying for affect them. There are very few that do. Like definitely in California, I will say that like our Democratic lawmakers are definitely fighting for us. But I would say that Gen Z is a lot more of us like fighting for what we want and like making sure we're being heard. So like we're definitely out there protesting and doing grassroots protesting and grassroots organizing in order to be heard. So it's definitely like we're taking over social media, talking about a lot of policies, like a lot of policies that wouldn't have been passed last year, that were brought attention to people via TikTok. So it's like a lot of people like are listening to us via social media, which I feel like it's a good thing because a lot of people think that we don't know what we're talking about, but actually we do. Like we definitely
we do tend to think that you all don't know what you're talking about. But okay, you're right.
And
you
so,
do.
Like we definitely have like if you're someone like me who's been paying attention like closely to
Mhm.
politics since middle school, then like you definitely have that understanding and that knowledge of what's going on in the world today, and you're
Mhm.
definitely taking a look at it and taking a step back, and you're like, okay, I need to be able to like sit down and have this conversation across the aisle. I know a lot of people who have been working in City Hall in San Francisco, so they've been able to like directly talk to the mayor and talk to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who just retired. So it's definitely like we're figuring out ways to be heard if we're not being heard. So I definitely appreciate that about my generation.
Okay, absolutely. All right, what question do you have for me?
The question,
the baby boomer.
The question I want to start with is, what would surprise your younger self most about politics today?
What is surprising to me most about politics today? Wow. What is surprising to me is, and I think I made this reference to Bishop one time. I think what's being created is a bunch of what I call mean girls, and I don't mean gender. For those of you who have seen the movie Mean Girls, I say that because everyone is so mean now. And I think that I'm really surprised because I think people are taking a cue from our current administration, and because of the fact that they are like really, really mean and stern, and this is the way we're going to do things. So consequently, people think, well, I can do the same thing. And I think that that's why we see so many killings and murders and robberies and just people being mean to each other because they think it's all right to do so. You look at your leader and then you do what your leader is doing. So
exactly.
I'm really disappointed in that. So I think that's what has been created with our current administration. And you see, I don't use the name, I just say our current administration, but everybody knows who I'm talking about. Okay, another question.
My next question is, when you were younger, how did you get your political news, and how did that shape your political views differently than today's information environment?
Well, I actually started in politics in college. I don't even know if they still have what's called the BSU, Black Student Union.
We do,
still have, okay.
Yeah, we do.
Being heavily involved in the BSU. And I hung around people who were politically involved. I was one of the founders of the Young Oakland Democrats. And I remember that time where in college, we knew no fear. We knew what we needed. We knew what we needed to ask for. We wanted to go to all the conventions and we wanted to be seen. And I can remember us going to the mayor's office and asking the mayor, Lionel Wilson. You don't know anything about him. I'm sure our audience does, but going to Mayor Lionel Wilson, and asking him to fund our trip so we can go and we could be heard. And I just remember having no fear at all. I didn't know much about politics, but I learned. It was like on-the-job training, and that helped to develop me even now, because I just remember, again, having no fear.
Yeah, I can agree with that, especially with me being like heavily involved in my BSU, and I'm the secretary of my school's BSU. So like definitely seeing like the general population membership point of view for about maybe 3 years, and then transferring over to being on that e-board position and seeing like what it takes to organize different protests and different things like that, and collaborating with other schools. Like for example, last semester we collaborated with SF State's BSU, and we did a silent protest in protest of Turning Point USA, which was Charlie Kirk's organization. And so we stood there in solidarity with each other, and a lot of people came over and like stood with us on the street. And we just stood there silently, making sure that we made an impact, with them knowing that we were there, but also just like making sure that they knew that we were going to be silent, but not for long. So it definitely, just doing stuff like that kind of helped me raise and elevate my interest in politics. So I can agree with that.
And you talked about grassroots, and a lot of people don't understand really what grassroots means. And it just means you just putting the feet on the ground, and you're doing whatever it takes to get done.
Getting your hands dirty.
And again, you're knowing no fear, because if someone closes the door, another door is going to open right up. So I love that about Gen Z. I see that you all have no fear, and you are kicking down doors. And I just hope and pray that you all continue to do that, because sometimes you will feel defeated.
Oh, yeah.
With everything that we hear on the news and social media, we do feel defeated, but you just have to keep going and keep going. Speaking of social media, so Gen Z, you all get a lot of your news from social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, versus not too many, we don't have too many newspapers around, but you can still go online and read your newspapers, which that's what I do, because I think it's important that we get all of our information from different sources. So Gen Z, how do you all get your information, political information?
Yeah, we do a lot of getting our information off of social media. But what I like to do, I don't know how many people in my generation does this, but once I see something, I'll go back, fact check it, and see if it's true.
Very good.
Definitely having to fact check. I use Snopes, and I also go back and do it through like CNN or like KTVU News, and like see if it's definitely something that's being talked about massively and not just talked about on social media, because a lot of times you can be fed propaganda. And that's something that you definitely don't want, because then you're going to be confused even more, or you're just going to be like spreading false information, and you definitely don't want to do that. Definitely not today. So if you do get your information off of social media, please fact check. That's a disclaimer for everybody.
No, you're absolutely right, because I find myself, I constantly fact check also, because I'll read something and then my spirit is saying, okay, you know what, I need to read something else to make sure that is true. And a lot of times it's not, because unfortunately people don't realize our media, our social media, I call it like the big four, the big five. It's like 4 or 5 people, billionaires, who are running our social media, how we get our news. And it's important to know that a lot of times they may be swaying you to think a different way, and that's unfortunate. But with social media and with AI, how do you know, especially with AI, how do you know that, other than fact checking, how do you know this is the correct information?
It's very hard to know. It definitely is, which is why I say like you have to definitely get like a secondary source, which I would say would be like a news outlet, like watching the news on TV, or like reading an actual newspaper, or like figuring out a way to talk to somebody who covered this information. Like maybe if you have to set up a meeting with somebody, like set up that meeting and talk to them, or talk to somebody in this area, so that like, hey, XYZ was said, do you know anything about this? Like, is this true? Going off about that, and it's like making sure that you're getting correct information, so that you're not giving other people wrong information. But I definitely say, like, if you're watching the news, watch your political views, and then also watch the other side, the other across the aisles.
Very important.
So that way you're not just getting that like tunnel vision. You're getting like a well-rounded approach. Like, it may make you mad that they're saying certain things about certain groups of people, but at least you're getting like a full like a full wide range view of what's being said about that certain topic. So there's a lot of ways, and it definitely is hard with AI. Like people are trying to like cover up like the AI stitching on their videos and stuff like that. So it's like you definitely have to be careful and take a lot of things with a grain of salt. But if you're reading like a news article and like you can see like that it's nationally syndicated or it's like publicly sourced or it comes straight from the CDC or the FDA or whoever it's coming from, definitely back check it through the federal websites and stuff like that. So just don't just take everything for what it is. Like definitely ask questions. Don't just say, okay, yeah, that's true, and run with it.
Well, you know, Devani, it's often said, I didn't say this, but it is often said that Gen Zs, plural, have a short attention span. So they tend to, again, get their information from, they're called shorts, correct me if I'm wrong, on Instagram and on YouTube and TikTok. So you're getting very condensed information very quickly because of the attention span.
Exactly.
I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you're getting the right information because it's just a small snippet of the information? What do you feel about that?
A lot of times I do feel like the videos are being rushed and that they're just trying to like get paid because it's their content creation.
I think you're right. Okay.
But I will say I have come across, especially during like election time, I have come across some really like very well thought out, very well rounded, like 3-4 part videos. If they're shorts, I've come across those and I stay like in tune to it because I'm like, this is very interesting information, and if it's something that I feel like it's worth bringing back to Evergreen for Justice, I'll be like, hey Bishop, what do you think about this? Like I'll ask him and I'll send it to him and I'll just check with him because I'm like, I don't know if this is something we can talk about here, but I definitely want to bring attention to. But if it's something that like is very short and sweet, like I do feel like sometimes it is being rushed and like I'm like, oh, okay, I need more information. So that's when I'll go and like search up the little tagline that they put and then go read. Or if it's too short, they'll like put a source in there from like where they got it from, like in the comments. So you're able to like copy that source and take it. So I definitely say like the short attention span thing, like some of us do have a short attention span. So like it is a good way for us to get our news source because we can't sit and watch a news segment for a long time.
Right.
So I definitely say like it is a good alternative, but it can't just be the only thing you do.
Yeah, and I like when you said to you need to listen to everything, even if it's something you don't agree with, because knowledge is power. And if you don't know what's being said out there, something you don't agree with, then how can you make a case against it if you aren't being an objective and seeing all sides of something? So I think more people need to be open to listen to all sides. The news, let me ask you, do you look at the news on TV?
Not often.
Why?
Just because for me, like my schedule is very busy right now with college and everything like that and trying to keep up with everything I do outside of college. But if I do have downtime, I will watch a news like segment, and like if it's definitely something that I'm very interested in, I'll sit and watch it. Definitely like when the big thing of like ICE and like the Coast Guard coming to the Bay Area, I was very in tune to it during that because I have a lot of friends who are immigrants and who are very concerned about what's going on right now, and definitely like with the government shutdown and like SNAP benefits. A lot of my friends who are in college are on their EBT and like have SNAP benefits, and I know a lot of people who are single mothers who have EBT and SNAP benefits that they're like, I don't know how I'm going to get this. I don't know what's going on. So like definitely like that helped because there was a lot of like the news were putting out a lot about like different places in the Bay Area about having like giving away free food and giving away things like that, and like where you can go to be protected and stuff like that. So I definitely say for that it was a good time for me to watch because it was happening then and there. And I definitely was able to be like kind of like a catalyst for my friends and for and be able to speak up for my friends, because I was able to post that information that I then got from off of the news and then post it on my Instagram and post it on my other forms of social media so that I can send it out massively, and it was getting reshared and stuff like that. So definitely, when I have the time to watch the news, I will watch.
Well, Devani, as a baby boomer, we still love the news.
Yeah.
Most baby boomers, when we're getting ready for work, we have the either CNN on or the local TV channel on.
Yeah.
And we try to get our news maybe like 30 minutes, 45 minutes while we're getting dressed for work. So we still love the news. Radio, I know that is like a dinosaur now. You know, it's all about what is it? Satellite radio, of course. And I have satellite radio, but I still make it a point to listen to radio stations where I am getting the news, because I still like to get the news from a real journalist.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't understand the difference between getting your news from someone who got it from an AP network or got it someplace else.
Exactly.
But we have real journalists who this is their job, this is what they went to school for, and they are very objective when it comes to what they're reporting. So I still, every morning, even though I may not look at it, but I still hear that news, maybe old habits, but I still love to have that news going on. I still love to hear, like, when I'm sitting in traffic, you know, I hear the radio, I'm listening to the radio also. I used to love to get the newspapers. I don't get them anymore. I go online to read the newspapers. But I think with baby boomers, we just needed something tangible. And that's kind of hard for us to get out of our old habits.
Exactly.
But, you know, it's nothing wrong with it. I think it's really important for people to still get newspapers if you can, because I tell you, it's just a wealth of information. So if you aren't getting the newspaper, maybe you should try getting a free subscription.
Agreed.
To get your news. So let me ask you, I'm going to ask this question after the break, because this is going to be a doozy. So what we're going to do, Devani, right now, we're going to take a quick intermission while Brother Donald Taylor and Candace, while they both bless us in song. This is going to be a very special song that Donald Taylor has written and produced himself. But don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we will be continuing our conversation right here on Talk Evergreen. In the meantime, we will participate in our giving. Those of us in the sanctuary will be giving, and you online can give as well. They have different ways you can give right on the screen. And remember, on Wednesdays, all of our giving goes towards our missions, where we help supply the needs of our youth that we have adopted in Ghana. So don't forget to give. We'll be right back after the song selection.
Jesus is our security, our deposit of life in eternity. A strong provider who will lead and guide us, a shelter in the time of storm. And oh, he's good to me. He gives me joy and all the peace that passes all understanding. Oh yes, he set me free. He came into my heart, and now my heart says home. Oh no, I'm never alone, because his spirit all over me. God's love just bubbles over and over and over and over, all over me. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that puts his trust in him. I sought the Lord and he heard my cry, pitied every moan. And oh, he's good to me. He gives me joy and oh, the peace that passes all understanding. Oh yes, he set me free. Well, he came into my heart, and now my heart's his home. Oh no, I'm never alone, because his spirit keeps me strong. God's love just bubbles over and over and over and over, all over me. God's love just bubbles over and over and over and over, all over me. He is Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and ending, which is, which was, which is to come, the King of kings and Lord of lords. Give him glory and honor, 'cause he's worthy of all praise. And he's been good to me. Yes, he gives me joy and all the peace that passes all understanding. Oh yes, he set me free. Well, he came into my heart, and now my heart's his home. Oh, and no, I'm never alone, because his spirit keeps me strong. God's love just bubbles over and over and over and over, all over me. God's love just bubbles over and over and over and over, all over me, all over me, all over me.
Hello and welcome back to Talk Evergreen. I am here this evening with Devani Watkins, who is our Evergreen for Justice Ministry leader. And tonight we're talking about local and national politics from different views, baby boomer versus Gen Z. Also, I do want to give a disclaimer that the views that we're discussing this evening are not the views of Evergreen Missionary Baptist Church. And also, this is part one, because we're going to get into some really juicy things next week also. So this is a two-part series. We thought it was too large just to devote just one evening. So we're going to do a part two on next week. So Devani, how does Gen Z feel about the leader of our current administration? I'm not going to say the name, but the leader. How does Gen Z feel about that person?
We definitely don't like him.
Okay, all right.
We definitely do not like him, especially those who are in groups of color and other marginalized groups. Specifically because of Project 2025, which is definitely it's more than 50% like being done right now, and I don't think people are like paying close enough attention to that. And people thought that it was just like kind of like a propaganda document, but it's definitely a very true, very long, 1,000-page document that the Republican Party is trying to push right now. And it's definitely, we don't appreciate that because it's setting us back many years, especially for those of us who are Black and who are brown, especially because our voter suppression is becoming very real again, and like making sure that like people of color aren't being allowed to vote, rights are being taken away. Like we're watching kind of like, I think this document is kind of like making it seem like the end times are very near right now. Definitely from a religious aspect, like it's the end times are definitely coming. And this document is very much putting it into fruition because we're seeing healthcare rights being taken away. We're seeing Obamacare being taken away because and trying to allow people to have like who don't have enough money to have HSA benefits, which they cannot put enough money on their HSA in order to get basic needs. So it's like we're very much watching kind of like our democracy kind of just like blowing up in front of us, and we're not liking that. Definitely like the joke in Gen Z is like, as soon as I become an adult, the world is like starting to come to an end. What's going on here? And so like we're watching all of this and we're just like, this is not like what we were promised.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's definitely like we're seeing like a lot of work that our ancestors did in order to like be able to have basic rights during the civil rights movement, just like kind of just be taken away.
Devani, why do you think people didn't believe Project 2025? Because it was all laid out, put together by the Heritage Foundation. Do your homework, read about it. It was all laid out ahead of time, playbook of what was going to be done. Why do you think people didn't believe it?
I think just a lack of education behind it. And just like a lack of belief in what people who were like politicians were saying. Definitely on the Democratic side, like Kamala Harris tried to warn us. She definitely like when she heard wind of it, she tried to get us to be able to understand like what we were looking at if a vote for the Democratic Party or a vote against Trump wasn't going to win in that sense. But it's just like, I just really think the lack of education behind it didn't allow people to
I can agree with you on that. And I also think people didn't want to believe it because it was absolutely incredible in terms of, again, the playbook of what was going to be done. We didn't want to believe it, but the leader of our current administration, he has always said what he was going to do. And that's one thing you can't take away from him. He has always said it, but people have chosen not to believe him because we're like, he can't do that. No, he wouldn't do that. But guess what? He has, and he is, and he will continue as long as we let him continue. And again, back to Gen Z, I love the fact that you all are willing to fight against this current administration. And that's so important that we all need to fight together. Let me ask you about your thoughts of the church and politics. A lot of people don't like to mix it. But I think it's important that it is mixed because politics is a part of our everyday life. So was it hard for you to put together your ministry in the church to empower people about politics? Was that difficult for you?
It really wasn't been difficult because, like, as I mentioned earlier, like about the faith-based training and social justice training that I went to, that Bishop sent me to about maybe a year and a half ago. Like I said, that really helped because it kind of just like laid it out in front of me of kind of like, okay, this is this piece, this is this piece, and this is like my last piece that I need to put together. I just need to figure out how I want to go about it and how I want to speak about it. But for me, I kind of looked at it as my chance to allow one, my generation's voice to be heard, and two, being able to educate those about voting who may not be able to understand different things about our current political economy and our current political crises that are going on right now. So I definitely looked at it as that chance to be able to help others and definitely be able to give them a voice, because a lot of our population here at Evergreen are seasoned citizens. So I wanted to be able to give them that boost of confidence that they need in order to go to that poll or be able to send in that ballot, so that they know that, okay, I've been educated on this, I know how to vote, and if they don't want to vote the way that kind of like I view, then I'm able to give like a voter guide of like what it means to like vote yes, what it means to vote no, what it means to vote Republican, what it means to vote Democrat, what it means to vote independent party. So like I definitely wanted to be able to help others with this. So I feel like I've been accomplishing that goal of helping others, because a lot of people have come up to me and like said thank you, because I didn't know what I was doing.
So then you know that you're making a big difference. What do you say when people come back to you and say, my vote doesn't count? And that's baby boomers, Gen Z, millenniums. A lot of people say that. People in my circle have said that my vote doesn't count. What do you say to people when they say that to you?
I tell them that it does, because you're actually like the one who is able to like make these laws come into fruition, and like your vote is really what makes that law like come to pass. Like this is definitely your nation, but a lot of people don't understand that like we have to be able to, in order for us to be powerful, we have to come together and go to those polls and go to different like meetings, different town halls, and be able to have our voice heard. And it starts with the voting, because voting is like, and it's something that our ancestors, definitely if you're part of a marginalized group, that's something that our ancestors fought for.
Right.
And so it's like, if that's something that your ancestors fought for, then there's a reason why they fought for it, not just for funsies, not just for to be able to just like say, hey, we have this right. Like we were able to come from being counted as 3/5 of the person and be able to just be able to have that right to vote, because we weren't able to vote at all. So it's just definitely like, you have to educate yourself. I can't stress that enough. Educate yourself on why voting is important and why it matters, for you to be able to understand that yes, you may feel like it doesn't matter, but it does, because it affects you, it affects your family, it affects your grandchildren, it affects your great grandchildren. So.
And when you don't vote, it's just like voting, because you're giving that non-vote to
the other side,
opposite party.
Exactly.
So it's just like voting, and I think that contributed with our current administration winning, because so many people didn't vote. They felt defeated, and my vote doesn't matter, and it absolutely does. Women, we've only been able to vote for I don't know how many years, but it hasn't been that long. So it is our right to go out there and vote. People of color, it is our right to go out there and vote. And like you said, we're standing on the backs of so many who, if they had the privilege to vote, they would have.
Exactly.
So it is our right to vote, because we can vote. So let me also ask you, do you feel like people of color should just be Democrats, or should they be Republicans, or should they also be independent? Because enough is not said about the independent party, and I'm going to ask you all to do your own research on the independent party. So do you believe in the representation of all three parties?
I believe there should be representation of all three, and I don't think that just one group should just be in that certain group that they believe that they should be in. Like, if I just feel like your views are your views. I feel like that's definitely like what drives a person for their political aspects and like their political views and how they were raised. We weren't all raised the same way, so it definitely that impacts us. What we take in impacts us. So it's definitely like we can't all say like, I'm Black, I need to be a Democrat. Like, there's definitely like people who, like, I would say, like my uncle, who's a Republican, who fought, who worked as a cop for 32 years. So that's why he votes Republican, because he sees both sides, but he doesn't agree with everything that's being said. So there's certain things he does vote Democrat on. His card just says Republican Party.
Well, Devani, this is why we need a part 2. Because there's so much information that we're going to get into. Well, as our bishop says, we're not out of message. We are just out of time. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Evergreen of Oakland. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this broadcast. Remember to join us every Sunday for our 8 a.m. Express Worship Service, and followed by our 9:30 a.m. Sunday school class and our 11 a.m. worship. Thank you all for watching and have a blessed night, and we'll see you next week for part 2 on Talk Evergreen.